This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
If your friends are nerdy and you are nerdy too, I want to talk to you. Friends talking nerdy.
This is the podcast making, public transit taking, kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun, Tim the Nerd, welcoming you to another episode of Friends Talking Nerdy, part of the Deluxe Edition Network. Head to deluxeeditionnetwork.com to find out about all of the lovely shows on the Den. Seated next to me in a sweater that would make Mr. Rogers proud, we have the greatest legal mind in the Pacific Northwest, Professor Aubrey. How you doing?
I am really excellent, Tim. Really excellent. How about you?
I'm doing good. I've not been used as a chew toy during the past week, so that is good there.
That is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Was it actually 2 weeks ago that happened?
Roughly. What am I referring to? Because the people at home don't know this.
Okay.
I work with dogs, and there was 2 incidents where I got bit by dogs at work. Nothing major, nothing I had to go to the hospital for. The first time was kind of funny because, I was trying to break up a fight between 3 other dogs. And it wasn't really a fight, but some of the dogs can get super hyper, and you just have to kind of essentially break them apart to distract them. But then out of nowhere, I feel this sharp pain on my back right thigh. This dog came up behind me, and I don't know if that dog was just stimulated by anything, but just bit me on the thigh. There was no blood, but it was bruises. Yeah, there was that. But the big thing was a couple of days later, there was a dog that was going out. There was another one that was trying to sneak through as a gate crasher, and I was trying to pull that one back, and then before you knew it, bam, the place just went violent fast, and one of the dogs, it was a pit bull, ended up biting me on the hand and having blood everywhere.
Oh my God.
To be clear, I realize that I created that situation. Speaking to a friend of the show, Rhonda the Vet, about it, she had mentioned that, in her experience, 99% of the time, if she got bit or scratched by an animal, it was her fault in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the same thing here. The dogs are dogs. They're going to do what they do. And it's I was so focused on not having a gate crasher that I didn't realize that letting one dog through, I can easily get that dog and bring it back. There was no need to have that type of, energy going on, especially when there were a couple of other dogs there that, were high energy themselves, and a couple that were guarding me, because dogs will guard you.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad place at all. It's been a wonderful work experience, and that is shocking to say in the city.
That's really wonderful. I mean, it's not wonderful that you got bit, but it's wonderful that you got bit and you're okay with it because you like your job so much.
Working with an animal, you have to take the good and the bad that comes with that animal. And when you're working with 60, 70, 80 of them all at once, you got to be, the dogs are not going to be I'm going to get that human. Dogs are just ooh, I see the thing over there, I'm going to run, yay, and type of deal. But they're fun to hang around. This Great Dane that's there is awesome. And when the Great Dane stands on her back 2 feet, she's almost as tall as me. But she has the personality of a rambunctious 2-year-old. Just running around and whatnot. And then there will be times where, she'll get in trouble and you have to kind of separate them at times, essentially a timeout. And it's funny, you put her in the timeout area, which is a caged off place. She will stand up with both of her front paws at the top of the gate door and look out hey, mister, I'm done. Can I come out and play again?
So could she get over it?
I don't think she could have. I mean, because there are other dogs that do have the ability to spring real hard, real high.
Yeah.
But she was just more like, "Hey, everybody, I'm here to play." So there's that, and then of course, the poop eaters.
Oh, the poop eaters.
Yeah, like dogs are wacky that way. Like they'll go outside and poop, and then you'll have like three or four other dogs can come and sniff the poop on the ground, and then like they will have like looks on their faces. They'll like look around, and then you'll see one like take a nibble and then look right at you, and then the look on their face is just like, "Yeah, I'm eating this. You know what it tastes like? Just the way it smells. Delicious."
So gross. That is so gross.
Yeah, but that's what I do. Clean up poop all day, clean up the pee messes, and just basically try my best to make sure those dogs have as stress-free a time there as they can, because there is nothing sadder, I guess, than seeing like it be 4, 5, 6 o'clock, and some of the dogs are just like, "I'm done having fun. I want to go home now. Why isn't my owner there, mister? I see you let everybody else out that door. Why aren't you at this gate letting me out, mister? Come on, let me." And, you can't say, "Hey, there's only an hour left," and stuff like that to a dog. You just got to do what you can to comfort them, but you can't go overboard with that either, because that could exacerbate their fears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fine balance, sounds like.
Indeed, and I think I'm definitely finding that balance. I mean, again, just I mean, it's like they're paying me money to be there with dogs all day. It's like, darn.
That's right. You seem to be enjoying it quite a bit.
Yes, but what about you? How's your week been?
Sorry, let me put this crinkly plastic thing in my pocket.
Well, thanks, editing.
You know who really likes crinkly plastic things and why I'm putting that in my pocket? It's because Mimsy really likes plastic things, and so there happened to be one on the table, and she was trying to eat it, so I needed to take it away from her. So that happened. Yeah, so I've had a great week. It is almost the Lunar New Year. It is celebrated heavily in China and Japan. I didn't know that it was celebrated in Japan until last night, actually, because I went to a gathering of women, and we talked about the Lunar New Year and said what we were intending for this year and how we were going to embody the lessons of this year's animal, which is the wood dragon.
What is a wood dragon?
So there's lots of different kinds of dragons, and they each are mythologically, have meaning. So there's an iron dragon, and it's strong like iron, and the wood dragon grows quickly
Like wood?
like wood.
All right.
It is malleable, you can do things with it, and you can also burn it. So it's a lot about starting new things, things coming to fruition, big exciting energy for the year. Like projects are going really well.
Now, you had some bullet points here that
Yes.
you're going to dive into.
Yes.
What do what do the bullet points entail, I guess?
Well, just things about the year upcoming during this year of the wood dragon.
Okay, well, start us off. Let us know.
Okay, so the year of the dragon brings good fortune, power, passion, and new opportunities. Anticipate a year that's exciting, creative, and transformational. That's the first bullet point. So that's pretty exciting, right? Passion, good fortune, power, and new opportunities.
Those are always nice to have, yeah, especially if they come with a lot of money.
Okay, number 2. There can be sudden breakthroughs and fast changes of fortune. Dragon can change size from tiny silkworm, instantly growing large enough to fill the sky.
Vague enough that could end up meaning anything positive in your life during a particular year,
Yeah. Okay, as the luckiest and most auspicious of the 12 animals, the dragon is thought to signify unprecedented opportunities. In a dragon year, people are said to be able to harness the creature's intelligence, leadership, and abilities to pursue their dreams with creativity, passion, courage, and confidence. So the last dragon year was in the 90s, and the next dragon year will be in 20 years. So we'll never be at this moment in our lives during a dragon year again until we're 70.
I hope to be there if these lucky Jousma genes get me there.
Okay, dragon year is an excellent time to start a business, get married,
Ew.
have a child,
Ew.
or travel the world.
Well, depending on where, mid-you, I don't know.
Risk-taking and forceful pursuit of goals yields results. Either way, life's pace is fast, dynamic, and anything can happen in a dragon year. 2024 is the year of the wood dragon, making this wood year a time for quick growth and development. The year of the wood dragon symbolizes strength, vitality, and new beginnings with confidence and courage, growth, prosperity, and success. It offers countless opportunities for personal and professional achievements, encouraging boldness and pursuing dreams with creativity and passion. The wood dragon's influence suggests a period ripe for initiating fresh endeavors, grounded in creativity and confidence. Initiatives you undertake are more likely to flourish, providing a secure path forward. Sounds pretty great. I'm pretty excited about it. And big thanks to my friend Donna Blazer, who wrote these little bullet points about the wood dragon and was the hostess of the party that I went to last night.
Well, there you go. Thank you for that, Miss Linda, you said?
Donna.
Donna. Yes, I was paying attention, I swear. I was testing Aubrey here. I knew the name. I just wanted to make sure Aubrey remembered.
Yes, of course you did.
Yeah.
So, my intention that I set with sort of this wood dragon energy was to sort of do more things I enjoy at work.
That can mean a lot of things.
I'm not quite sure what it means. I just know I would like to have more fun at work. Because if you don't have fun at work, you've either got to make work fun or you got to find fun work. And I would rather make work fun than find fun work.
Yeah, I mean, for me, at the end of the day, a fun job is great. And, for me right now, I do got a job that's fun. I mean, being able to hang out with dogs is fucking amazing. But I would much rather have a boring job that, still pay the bills and whatnot compared to nightmares that I've encountered before.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those nightmares had to end up, falling in my lap too, because let's be honest here, stuff like Apple that I've complained about before, I knew well before I actually left that company that I should have left, and yet I didn't. I made it worse for me. So, in the spirit of the Wood Dragon, I think the idea is to pursue your happiness and don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
It could happen at any time.
Yeah, you never know when success will happen. And also, success is going to mean something different for everybody. Like, I consider this podcast a major success, even though we're not making seven figures or anything like that. It would be great if we did one day, but, is what it is.
Yes.
So anyway.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that I, like you, have been bit by an animal. Only I got bit by a cat on my face.
This week?
Yeah, check it out.
Oh, I do see that bruising. It is, for the folks at home that don't have the ability to see the professor's face right now, it is a red mark that is just to the right of the professor's eye. It's like between her ear and her right eye, and it looks like just like a very small vampire bit her on the face.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think it looks like. Like a very small vampire came and gave me a kiss right there. Yeah, so...
If like Willow was a vampire.
Yeah. Willow Offgood.
Yeah, whatever. That guy.
That guy. Speaking of that guy, or speaking of movies,
Or speaking of short people doing larger roles, yes. This is kind of an update on something we talked about a few weeks ago, and that's creations from Seth MacFarlane.
Yes.
In January on The Cock, his new TV show, Ted, which is a prequel series to the Ted movies, debuted, and this was another instance of you kind of getting used to his type of humor. And tell the folks about your impressions of the Ted franchise, the movies, and the TV show, I guess.
I really enjoy them. I was just really charmed by the teddy bear, who was this sort of Bostonian redneck, I guess I'd say. And, he's sort of a smartass, and he's always egging his friend, who's human, on
Yeah,
to Marky
In
Mark.
the movies.
Mark Wahlberg, who plays his best friend, who wished him alive.
Who wished him alive, who works at a $38,000 a year job, yet still ends up with like a multi-room house and a decent car, in Boston, too. In Boston, only
Yeah.
38,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. That was confusing. We kept trying to figure out, like, what could he afford in Boston?
Yeah, well, I mean, they did in the first movie, at least, with his girlfriend, who he ultimately married in the first film, but divorced in the second, played by Mila Kunis. It was
Spoiler.
a 10-year-old plus movie. I mean, come on, I'm not going to worry about that. Darth Vader is Luke's father, people. But we did determine in that that story showed that the Mila Kunis character was actually more well-to-do than Mark Wahlberg's character. And it shows you how much John, I think his name was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So I was at least lucky that they had that attention to detail, because there was a point to where. In the first movie, John shows up at Ted's apartment. The guy who played Flash Gordon was there, and they all did cocaine. But then she shows up and is disappointed and takes her car back.
Yeah, takes her car back.
Yeah, it was that scene that was
There's
just
like a Jetta or something.
but richer than he could afford.
Yeah, like he was in the car, and we were like, how does he have this car if he has a $38,000 a year job?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we worry about, folks. Not whether the story's good, just how the fuck are they making their money?
Yeah, like, why is it unrealistic? Like, why can't they just be realistic?
It's not sexy enough in Hollywood. And do you think Mark Wahlberg is going to like shoot scenes in like a studio apartment somewhere? No. Anyway, the second movie, Ted 2, Electric Boogaloo, whatever you want to call it, I think, like any sequel, it suffered from sequelitis. It's like it didn't need to be made. The movie, of course. And the fact that they didn't have Mila Kunis and just established that this Ted 2 happens 4 years after the first film, and, he's already divorced and, bitter and all that. And it's just like you kind of killed the good momentum you had with the first one. So that was my thing. But what did you think of Ted 2?
I did not enjoy it so much as Ted 1. I found that some of the jokes were ill-conceived, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, it kind of lazy writing, because Seth wrote it with a couple of writers that he's been associated with for a long time, starting with Family Guy. And they ended up using a few gags in the film that originated on Family Guy.
Oh.
Yeah, like the scene in the improv where, they're yelling out suggestions to the improv people on stage, but it's all, like 9/11 type of deal. They did that on Family Guy, and it's like I said before when we talked about Seth MacFarlane, like his type of humor is really about throwing everything at the wall and hoping it sticks. It's great when it sticks because you can get some really big laughs, but that type of humor has to consistently hit. And if there's something that's off, it can take you out of it. But having said that, we go into the TV show. I know you were a big fan of that TV show. You saw more of the episodes than I did. I don't know if you got through the entire first season.
I don't think so. I've watched quite a few episodes, and I've kind of do this thing where I watch the whole show, but I sort of fade in and out of sleep.
Yeah.
And
Kind of like talking to me. No, I'm kidding.
No. Fading in and out of sleep, and so I kind of don't remember exactly everything that's happened in the show.
But like the Orville, I think you said before that that has impelled you to kind of watch it again and again, right?
Right, exactly. And then I pick up on new things every time I watch it.
Now, the show compared to the movies, how would you compare it? Now for the episodes in question, I kind of get the impression that they kind of made them in a unique way because at some point in the future they may want to edit them down to a traditional half hour and put them on TV.
Hmm.
Like each episode is like 40, 50 minutes. And, if conceivably, theoretically, if you cut out the R rated stuff and, TV 14, you can get away with a lot with TV 14. If you cut out the R rated stuff, though, it would bring it down to a traditional half hour. But each episode is formatted like a sitcom.
Yeah.
Sitcom A story, B story, still has that kind of thing. But do you like this better than the movies?
The Ted?
The TV show, yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think there's a sweetness to the young John who is has this teddy bear friend. And I really like his father, who's played by the same guy who plays Gordon
Yeah.
on The Orville,
The actor's name is Scott Grimes.
Scott Grimes. Yeah. I really enjoyed his character on The Orville. He's very funny. And so I thought he was also good in this.
Penny Johnson Gerald, who was Dr. Claire in the Orville, she's Ted and John's principal
Hmm.
on the show, and that is that is another thing I think I've mentioned with Seth MacFarlane as well. Like a lot of people, when he has a crew of people that he gains trust with in some way, shape, or form, they do tend to follow him from project to project. Like even in Ted 2 with the Liam Neeson cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Liam Neeson was the bad guy in Seth MacFarlane's Western A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yep.
What was that movie about?
It was about A Million Ways to Die in the West.
I thought you might say that.
Yeah, really. It was in terms of the actual storyline, it was a generic Western in terms of bad guy comes to, wreak
Terrorize Town.
terrorize a town, and the good guy ends up saving the day. But Seth MacFarlane jokes are thrown in throughout.
Okay.
Again, a lot of the same crew from that movie ended up in others, like the Giovanni Ribisi guy, the bad guy from the Ted movies, the weird guy with the mustache
Uh-huh.
and whatnot. He's in that A Million Ways to Die in the West too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was Charlize Theron.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing her. But it was okay. He did publish a novelization of that movie.
Wow.
Yeah, so there is that. But overall, what has your experience with Ted, has that broadened your opinion of Seth MacFarlane? Is this better than Family Guy to you, even though he's using Peter Griffin's voice for Ted?
Yeah, he's using Peter Griffin's voice for Ted, but I enjoy Ted more than Family Guy for sure. But Ted does have those jokes, just fewer of them, where I'm like, that's not funny. Or I laugh at it and I'm like, I shouldn't have laughed at that. Like, he takes pot shots, I think, sometimes at people.
I agree. I mein, in his defense, for the type of comedy that he does, like I said, nobody's safe, if that makes sense. So it's like to me, like you don't have to like the joke to understand that it's just a joke. You can just say it didn't work for me and move on while not thinking that, he actually believes some of the stuff that's said. I just think to your point, maybe you could still be that extreme without having to go the extra route, if you know what I mean. Of course, you would shake your head no. In terms of because I know they've made like racial jokes
Yeah.
Also, I know the joke I think you're referring to that you said you didn't like was when Ted made a joke about sexual assault, I believe, right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, trigger warning, I guess.
Yeah, for a comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't watch it if you're easily triggered, honestly.
Yeah, if Full House is too extreme for you, Ted is not the show for you to watch.
Right. Like, it's a sitcom, but it's still, rude.
Indeed, especially when they're dealing with episodes to where, high schoolers are smoking weed and all that.
Yeah.
Which never happens. How dare my kid find out about weed? Oh my God. Anyway, so Seth MacFarlane seems like you got an even bigger fan now.
You think so?
I think you're a bigger fan, aren't you?
Well, he has just surprised me with the quality of his work.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who did Ted was also responsible for Cosmos, so...
Right? Yeah.
Can't go wrong there, but...
No.
Anyway.
And Ted's just really cute. He's a teddy bear.
Except when he's jumping out of, I'm the king of the wieners. The first episode. That was a funny gag.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
How about we send it to one of our friends at the Deluxe Edition Network?
That sounds great.
Yeah. Folks, sit back, relax, hear Mimsy in the background calling for somebody, and listen to one of our friends at the Deluxe Edition Network.
Wow.
Hey there, it's the Barrel Age Chicks. I'm Sammy.
I'm Snow.
I'm Crystal, often called Mouse, and I'm here too.
Yay! And then we also have Yen and Harley, who sadly are not with us, but that's okay. We're here to talk to you about our podcast.
Woo!
Tune in because it's a lot of fun, and you get to hear the chick side of things.
You're gonna BS about movies and drinking and life and momming.
Lots
and we're
of
good.
laughing. Lots of laughing.
I laugh,
but it's great. Yes,
we have finished our first season.
And we're starting our second season.
Woo!
Good Lord.
2024, here we come.
I know, enjoy it. Join us on all of the platforms.
Hear them talk and me listen.
You talk.
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook.
Pretty much anywhere you can hear voices on a phone.
And yeah, so give us a follow, check us out.
Watch us give Ron aneurysms.
It's the best part.
And thanks for listening. We will talk to you soon.
The guitar. Easy to pick up, easy to learn a chord or two, but it's a lifetime journey to master, and even someone like a Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Eric Clapton, or Jimmy Page are not even masters as of yet, despite how much they know, because when you work with a musical instrument, that's a lifetime journey.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do this week, instead of talking about more professional wrestling, as we record this today, I edited one of our episodes and realized that we had 3 weeks in a row of professional wrestling topics. And I think that's 3 weeks too many for the professor.
But somehow you get away with it.
Sometimes, yes, but we're going to be talking about a fun topic here. This is a playlist episode. Playlist episodes are ones where we come up with our 5 favorite songs based on a theme, and then explain why we chose those songs. And then at the end of it, you folks at home will be able to go to YouTube and listen to the playlist that we put together. And our theme this week is that we wanted to pick 5 songs that we want to play on guitar.
That's right. Which is very exciting because it's always good to be thinking about what songs you want to learn to play.
Yes. Now, when do you remember picking up a guitar for the first time? It doesn't have to be the exact date, of course, but generally.
Well, my father played guitar. My mother tried to play guitar. My uncle plays guitar really well. So I was around guitars from the time I was very small. And, I'm sure I tried to play. I remember my dad had a Roy Acuff Big Note songbook, which had these little stickers that you put on the strings, on the frets where your fingers were supposed to go. And that's how it taught you how to make chords. And I somehow learned a couple of chords from that and played a couple songs, probably when I was 16-ish. And always had an interest in playing. And then I got a guitar at some point in the 90s, I think for my 21st birthday or something like that. And I loved it. And I just played it all the time. I played it every day. And I'd play it out at open mic nights. I wrote songs. I was really obsessed about it for a while.
A modern day Sarah McLachlan or
Something like that. Yeah, very 90s feminist songs. And
this is inspired by Jewel.
yes. Yes. You know what I'm talking about. The Lilith Fair moment, you know.
Mm-hmm. The 90s, gotta love it.
Anyway, what was I saying about the 90s? Oh, I received this guitar in the 90s. I got obsessed about it for a while. Then went to law school and stuff. Kind of moved around the country. Didn't play so much. But I've gotten more into playing since the pandemic. It was one of the things that I did every day to keep myself from going, you know, more crazy than I already was.
Living with me would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw you a softball there. Well, for me, I grew up loving the guitar. Grew up in the golden era of MTV, the second golden era of MTV, the second half of the 80s. Not the, basically 87, 88 is when I started really getting into music. And that's when, like Guns N' Roses were hitting it big. Aerosmith was hitting it big. Def Leppard, all those bands. And the common denominator among all of them, kick-ass guitar players. But and it was to the point that my mother even, bought me like a really small guitar at one point. But this is before the internet. I didn't have an app I could download that would show me all of the chords. And I didn't know where to begin. So ultimately, it was making noise, but it wasn't, a chord or anything like that. It wasn't until the pandemic that I started, everything started coming together myself in terms of my playing. And like I said, I have my guitar now, another guitar now that I call Dusty. But yeah, like I know I'm never going to be like in a band or anything like that, but it is awesome being able to, even if it's just a partial bit of a song that I know, being able to play. Because in a way, and I'm sure you can speak to this, if you're playing a song written by somebody else and you interpret it in a unique way or just even copy it, you're still kind of inhabiting that spirit that was put behind that song. You're putting yourself in the shoes of, whatever artist in question that you're covering if you're playing their songs, and that's a special bond.
Yeah.
If you think about it metaphorically.
Metaphorically, yeah. And you always want to see the people that you play their music,
Mm-hmm.
And you always play music of people that you really enjoy.
Indeed. So what we wanted to do, as mentioned, is tell you our choices of songs that we want to play on guitar, whether it just be a little portion of it or whether it's the entire song. Just something about these particular songs just kind of speaks to us in a way that makes us want to, create and live in that moment,
Well, I mean, I pick songs that I would like to play that are too hard for me to play. So it's kind of like a stretch list for me, or songs that I've tried to play and I'm very frustrated that I cannot play.
So you will not be playing any Yngwie Malmsteen?
No.
Okay.
I don't even know who that is.
He is a metal guitarist from the 80s, still plays today, but does a lot of work with like symphonies in the guitar, and like Eddie Van Halen without proper pop song structure.
Ah, I see.
Just really good, but he was going to be only for like the super hardcore guitar fans.
Right.
But I do remember Yngwie, I guess, went to the hearing aid thing, and this is covered in the Dio documentary. Dio put together something similar to the, We Are the World, because he tried to join that and they wouldn't let him because he was in metal. So he got a bunch of metal artists to sing a benefit song. And
I
Yngwie,
remember seeing that.
yeah, Yngwie showed up, but then they had it played by Michael McKean, but they invited Spinal Tap. there as well. Michael McKean, as his character, says, "I'm glad that Yngwie puts the J in Yngwie J. Malmsteen because don't get him you don't get him mixed up with the other Yngwie Malmsteens in the world out there."
Right. Yeah, it's a very common name, Ingve
Yes.
Malmsteen.
Yep. Rolls off the tongue. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back and forth, give our choices about, say the song in question, the group, why we picked it, and start some conversation from there. So, did you want to start, or did you want me to start?
I'll start. My number one choice is a Beatles song. Perhaps we won't be surprised. And it is Dig a Pony. I love this song. I think it is so cool. And I would love to play it. It's very hard to play. It has a bunch of sharps and majors and minors and sevenths and ninths and all kinds of things that I cannot deal with. Like, I can't process the information even to try to play it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you could just imagine, like your hands end up like in a Looney Tunes cartoon when the hands are going all together and
And they get like it's all tied up in knots and
Yeah.
you can't move them anymore. Yes, it does feel that way. So, also, I could never learn the words to this song.
Yeah,
I cannot learn the words to things that don't tell a story.
Lennon at this time knew that his songs were being interpreted like, you would interpret like a poet's lyrics and stuff like that. So there were times to where he would be really sarcastic and write songs like this, or I Am the Walrus, and just make it as much gibberish as possible.
Right, to point out the absurdity of what it was,
Yeah, I mean, it's not that he didn't mind people, enjoying his lyrics or thinking for interpretations, but just like Freud said, a cigar can sometimes just be a cigar. A song can just be a song sometimes. It doesn't have to mean anything more than just the surface level of enjoying it.
Sure, but the cigar thing doesn't really work since Bill Clinton.
Okay.
The cigar is not just a cigar.
Yeah, nice. Anyway. Definitely a great album for guitar work. Interesting enough, the Let It Be, the Let It Be. The guitar solo on the album is different than the guitar solo on the single of Let It Be.
Really?
Yep. The more you know.
Do you know why?
That I don't know, and the single version of the song is slightly shorter too. Like the end chorus, when Paul does the "Let it be" type of deal, they repeat it on the album, but only do it like once, I believe, at the end. So it's like the single is slightly shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But the "Let It Be" album, like we've talked about, going back for a while now, was kind of like their way back into just the type of music that they first got into, but with a more modern at that time take.
Mm-hmm.
It was guitar, bass, drums, and with Billy Preston there with the keyboards, and it wasn't relying upon George Martin to hire a symphony orchestra or do this. And it's not that they didn't love that part of the job as well, but when you're in a band and you play instruments, you want to be able to be in a band and play instruments. And that album is kind of, even though it does have a number of songs that are difficult, it still inspires you to want to, play at least once if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, definitely.
Yeah.
I think Abbey Road's the same way. Just full of really great songs. And if you can learn any of them, that's great.
Yeah. Just thinking about the opening to Here Comes the Sun, my hands, that fall off.
I used to play that one. Not like George Harrison did.
Yeah. I did it the Aubrey way, the best way.
I did it the Aubrey way, the easiest way.
Yeah. All right, shall I go on?
Yes.
My number one?
Yes.
All right, my number one here, I can already somewhat play this song. It is a Nirvana song. It's about a girl from their first album, Bleach, and it was the first track off of their MTV Unplugged session. But the main part of the song is just two chords, E minor and G.
Oh, nice.
And if you have I believe it's how you have your fingers placed on the E minor chord. Like you would normally do it one way, but if you do it another way, it makes it much easier to switch over to a G. And
Yeah, you just have to remove one finger.
yeah, and I just made it sound a lot more difficult than it is. But what a great song. Like Cobain said, it's off their first record, and it, in a lot of ways, showed the beauty of his work because it was the electric version on the original album was grungy, loud type of deal, but it did have a melody to it. It was you could knowing how much of a fan of the Beatles that Kurt Cobain was, you could. This song was clearly inspired by them.
Really?
Yeah. But also, too, I think back to the day we heard the news that he passed and watching MTV Unplugged on repeat and their appearance on MTV Unplugged on repeat. And just that song, just simple, but says so much. And that's kind of the beauty of Nirvana.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the beauty of Nirvana. That is, Nirvana.
Yeah, metaphorically and literally and all that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, any comments about a girl?
About a girl. I can't even remember how it goes.
I mean, if I played it for you, you would know it. But being that it was off of their first album, that is the lesser known album, it was not Nevermind.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the first time I started listening to them.
Yeah.
And I never went back.
The first album is okay. It has some good stuff. Like I said, like even today, I wouldn't call Nirvana my absolute favorite band because for me, the only album I really truly like anybody else, is Nevermind.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones like In Utero, it's hard to listen to now. Just because of the lyrics, everything he was talking about, and knowing what he was dealing with in his personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ooh. Also, I featured, last year when I was doing Tim's Tremendous Tapes, I featured a track from the Beavis and Butthead Experience album. And there was a song that Nirvana had on that album that was supposed to be on In Utero that they didn't, titled, like, I Hate Myself and Want to Die, I think it was called. And it's just like, he was being quite open. But anyway, About a Girl, great song. He was a great singer, great songwriter.
And now, have you looked into this in terms of what it would take to play it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, the main part of the song,
G and E minor.
yeah, those I know. It's once they go into like the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's been a while, so I don't know the chords off the top of my head. But Kurt didn't use too many, fancy chords. He was just a typical power chord, type of player, really.
Yeah.
All right. How about?
Cool. You're kind of like that.
Oh, wow. Thank you, darling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about you go on with your next one?
Okay, my next one is from the Rolling Stones, Wild Horses. Also very hard and very popular. Like, I feel like if I could play that, people would love it. People would sing along. But it's too hard. I can't play some of the chords. And, like, they're so hard that I cannot learn them. Like, I've been playing guitar for 20 years now, and I haven't learned these chords.
Damn you, Keith Richards. And he did all that in heroin. Think about it.
Right, at the same time.
Yeah, come in. Great song from them. I mean, they're another band, too, that really inspires you to just not necessarily start your own group, I guess, but to capture their joy of singing and just, whether it be singing in the shower, singing in the car, dancing to their music or something like that, or picking up a guitar yourself and trying to replicate, what they do. Just, yeah, beautiful, right?
Yeah, totally beautiful.
All right. Speaking of beautiful, shall I, well, besides you, of course, shall I go on to the next song?
Yes, please.
All right.
Speaking of beautiful, it's your turn.
Hey now. All right. This one is a song that has kind of grown on me a lot these past few weeks. And I've already, sent you a text, or we talked about it at one point, but it comes from Mr. Neil Young. and it's Harvest Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I would even want to learn the whole song, just that opening bit at the beginning. Dun, 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 dun. It's Neil
I
Young.
thought it started with the dun 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 dun.
No.
No, okay. That's more like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Neither of us are very good at humming tunes.
Yeah, for me,
That
it
whole
sounded
acapella
okay.
singing thing is just not, it's not our speed.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, Neil Young, though, unique cat in music history. He was part of the group in Canada. He hung around with other musicians in Canada
Graham Parsons.
in the 60s, but he knew like the group that became the band.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up making his way to California. He did session work with the Monkees.
Mm.
He was in Buffalo Springfield, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He had his own band with Crazy Horse, and he's done plenty of solo stuff. The first time I ever was aware of him was that satire video he made for This Note's for You.
Mm.
That was banned off of MTV, but they only banned it because he was making fun of like some of their sponsors.
Right.
But the funny part is he ended up winning like the video of the year at that year's MTV Video Music Awards. And so like at first I thought like this Neil Young guy, is he like a Weird Al Yankovic? But he's somebody that has just found a way to be relevant in any time. I mean, because like in the 90s, he was coming out with some great work, like the Mirrorball album. It was an album that he did, and his backing band was Pearl Jam.
Oh, wow.
And there's a great song on there called Downtown. I even remember the first special that was on TV. It was a telethon after 9/11. And it was Neil Young and the piano singing Imagine.
Mm.
And on the surface, at first, it was like, how is this going to work? Because Neil Young has a unique voice, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But once he got rolling, it was a beautiful song, much like Harvest Moon. And just he has a way to bring emotions out in songs that's amazing, and being able to just play a little bit of it would be awesome.
No, I agree. I used to play a couple of his songs. I can't remember which they are at this moment.
Popular ones.
The ones that everybody plays that are good and easy.
Yeah, speaking of that, George Harrison, I guess, was interviewed and said that, he thought Neil Young was a nice guy, but he didn't like him as a guitar player.
Nice.
So there is that. Anyway, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Something by Nine Inch Nails, and I chose Head Like a Hole. And I want to play this on my acoustic guitar because I think it would be entertaining. But once again, the chords are too difficult.
Is there a way to adjust them to cowboy chords?
It's possible. And it's, cool now. You don't have to know anything about music theory. You just go on unlimited guitar tabs unlimited, which is this great online program that has like a million sets of chords, and you can favorite them if you have an account, and you have all the songs you can play all together like a songbook. It's really cool. And I think the premium version even is like very cheap. Anyway, I think they sell it by the year because it's so cheap. It's like $15 a year or something. It's totally worth it for me because I'm not very organized. And it's nice to be able to, for a while, I was printing things out and having them in a book. And it's gotten too much. Like, I have too much of that, like, papers and binders. Like, it's not a good system.
Well, you should utilize your iPad more for the guitar stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and you'd be able to have that app on the iPad and, save whatever files you want on there. And just, with your finger, zoop, zoop.
Okay.
Modern thinking, baby.
You just love iPads.
I do. I love my iPad.
Nice.
I adore it. But what, like, have you heard? Yeah, I mean, this is the album that gave us Hurt. No, it was the album after. The Downward Spiral had that. But But my point, though, was that on the surface it may seem weird, Nine Inch Nails and acoustic guitar, but Johnny Cash kind of proved that that can happen.
Exactly. And other people have done it in the past. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy reinterpreting older songs in new ways and that are kind of make everything into a folk song. I think that's fun.
Yeah, here's my cover of Motorhead.
Exactly. What's that Motorhead song I like? Time to Play the Game? I should,
The Game, yeah.
yeah, the game. I should figure out how to play that.
Yeah, maybe. All right. How about I go on to my next one?
Okay.
All right, my next one is from a singer and songwriter that I first saw on this little television show on CBS called The Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh,
Mr. Waylon Jennings.
wow.
One of those people that even in the days where I would swear on a Bible and on my mother's grave that I did not like country music, the one person I would always have a caveat for would be Waylon Jennings.
Really?
Yeah. And the song I picked is Lukenbach, Texas.
Mm.
Like right now, I couldn't tell you what the chords were, but when I've looked them up in the past, very simple song. Waylon was, from what I've seen from the songs of his that I've searched for the chords for, he primarily worked with cowboy chords.
Yeah.
And, he was able to make some really beautiful music.
Yeah.
With that. And, Lukenbach, Texas, one of his bigger hits, of course, with a duet by Mr. Willie Nelson.
That's right.
At the end of that particular song. But he's Waylon. Also, I forgot to mention, too, Waylon was a member of Buddy Holly's band.
Really?
Yeah, not the Crickets, because the Crickets apparently disbanded or something like
Yeah,
that shortly
totally.
before Buddy Holly's death, but the last touring band, and in fact, Waylon Jennings, I guess he ended up giving his seat to Richie Valens on the plane,
Oh, wow.
and that ended up, messing with his head.
I bet.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Having said that, Waylon throughout the years, like there's on YouTube, there's this channel that has collections of clips from Late Night with David Letterman. And they had one that was a collection of every time Waylon Jennings was on. And they had one where Waylon came out and sang a medley of Buddy Holly songs, which was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
But yeah, again, just one of those pure country souls, country music artists that this to me is what he did was country music. But he also appreciated other forms of music as well. He was not afraid to cover a Fleetwood Mac song written and sung by Stevie Nicks, Gold Dust Woman.
Right. Exactly.
So he took a lot of chances, and I love that spirit. And I think that's what I love most from the quote unquote outlaw country movement is the fact that, they're just musicians. They love music. And if there's something in a reggae song that they think will fit in their work, they're going to use it and it's going to sound good.
Yeah, I mean, that's how music grows and changes, right? It's cross-pollination between different musicians all around the world.
Indeed. Speaking of that, what's your next one?
My next one is anything from the album Blue by Joni Mitchell. Every single one of these songs has some wacky chord that I cannot play in it, but I love them so much, and I would love to be able to play that whole album from start to finish. It's concept album Blue, and it's about her relationship and breakup in her, early adulthood.
Was she someone that dated Bob Dylan?
No.
No. That was Joan Baez, and
Yes.
Joan Baez did. But
Yes.
Dylan being Dylan, I don't know who he dated.
He kept who he dated pretty under the radar, except for
Joan Baez.
Joan Baez, yeah.
Yeah.
Who wrote the song Diamonds and Rust, which was covered by Judas Priest. Another cross-pollination that you go, huh? But it sounded pretty good.
I remember I told you that they covered one of our songs, and you were like, "Ew, really?" But then I played it, and when you listen to it, yeah, you were like, "Yeah, not that bad." Like, I don't think you're gonna listen to it again, of course.
Right, never again in my life.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh no, go away!" But
Wash my ears out.
yeah. Now, when it comes to Joni Mitchell, I'm going to shock you in stating that I don't believe I've heard any track from this album. It's possible I may have. Maybe there's something, because what is that parking lot song? Is that on there?
No.
Okay, then I have not heard anything off of this album. So.
Yeah, it's a concept album. It didn't have hits on it. You kind of have to listen to the whole album.
Yeah, and I know it's one of those albums that you do hear get bandied about as one of the best of all time. Like, is there one track on there that, like, if you had to say to somebody, I know you don't have time to listen to this whole album, but listen to this today?
Yeah, it's the one that starts, I'm on a lonely road and I'm traveling. I don't know the name of the song, but
Okay.
it is such a great song. There are just so many good songs on that album, though. Carrie is another great song about her traveling around Europe and Greece. There's a great sort of Christmas song on it called River. And I mean, just every song on it is amazing.
Yeah.
And I would love to play any of them.
And I heard she's actually doing limited engagements.
Yes, I just saw that.
Yeah, I guess she had been dealing with health issues for a number of years,
Yes.
but she's at the point now to where, I mean, she's not going to do like a worldwide tour or anything like that. I don't think anybody at her age would necessarily want to unless you're the Rolling Stones, but even they aren't doing the normal types of tours that they've done in the past. They are doing limited dates. So, so yeah, Joni Mitchell. Shall I go on with my next one?
Yes, please.
All right, this next one, it blew my mind finding out that Willie Nelson wrote this song. I grew up listening to the version that I thought was the original.
This is Patsy Cline, Crazy.
Patsy Cline, Crazy. And again, once I heard Willie that wrote that song, it was like, whoa, really? And I think there's another feature that I did on Tim's Tremendous Tapes. I did feature a song from the album Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson Storytellers, to where Willie ended up singing Crazy during the show, but he talked about writing the song and how Patsy Cline did her thing, and it's one of the beauty of Willie Nelson, similar to Waylon Jennings, is a lot of his stuff beginning guitar players can learn quite easy and quite fast if they're just persistent.
Yes.
And it's a great way to kind of just test out emotion in song too, because Willie does so much with so little. And what do I mean by that? He realizes that you don't have to be like an Eddie Van Halen, okay? And I know that's a different type of music compared to what he did, but Willie is more about what's between the notes than the notes themselves. And I think Patsy Cline, to her credit, like took what Willie did and ended up making it better, even though if you listen to both of their original tracks of this song, the background vocals and the music is like virtually identical, but just a beautiful, beautiful song.
Such a great song.
And that's another thing too. That's a documentary we have to finish on Paramount Plus, the Willie Nelson family documentary.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, his life story. So when it comes to crazy, like my mother was a 60s country fan and, made that clear to us growing up. And, she watched that Jessica Lange movie, Sweet Dreams, over and over again when, we had the HBO free weekends and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I remember when that movie was playing a lot on HBO. I watched it many, many times.
Yeah, and also too, the beauty of this song this is a song that you do have to have a little life experience for to get. When you're a middle schooler like I was, or an elementary schooler when I first heard this song, you're not going to get it. You're not going to like it. But once you're in your 20s, your 30s, you've had your heart broken a few times, Crazy's going to mean the world to you.
Absolutely.
All right. What is your last one?
My last one is by Bob Dylan, who's my longest running favorite musician. I have many now, but he was the first, and so longest running. And the song I want to learn to play is Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowland. It is such a long song. It's like a epic story in song form. I love the imagery in it. Like it's poetry set to music, really.
Yeah, and I know when we did that episode on overrated musicians, I, in a way flippantly put him on my list of overrated, but his impact on popular music today, like he's if you have to think about it, in the 20th century, if he's not the number one most important musician of the 20th century, he has to be number two.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's one of the most important because, it's not because anything he did was terribly difficult. It wasn't. I mean, he used a lot of cowboy chords too. And, look at his voice. Voice is not the best in the world, but everything together just still works. The fact that he was able to create these songs that in other musicians' hands, they were able to do something else. Like
Yeah, the universality of the songs themselves, they could be reinterpreted over and over again by different people.
yeah, I mean, like the biggest example, of course, All Along the Watchtower.
Mm-hmm.
His version compared to Hendrix, just night and day. But that shows the beauty of that song. That it could be taken by someone like Jimi Hendrix and made into his own majestic, wild, type of guitar sound that was the antithesis of Dylan at that time.
Until he found Jesus and went electric.
Yeah. That's when they ruined it for me. Yeah, go home, Mr. Dylan.
We don't want to hear your 80s crap.
Yeah. Well, anyway, shall I go on with my last one here?
Yes, please.
All right, my last one here. Pretty simple song. They say that to be in a rock band, all you need to know is 3 chords and the truth. And I think this song found that a long time ago
Mm-hmm.
from a band called the Trogs. Wild Thing.
Oh.
It really is 3 chords. Now, I went to the website you go to to find out what the chords were, and I'm able to play those chords. It just on my guitar, it didn't sound like Wild Thing. It sounded like something different altogether. But it literally is just the same 3 chords over and over again.
Yeah, it's just the rhythm, right?
Yeah, just and it's all just a down strum too. It's like, type of deal. I mean, AC/DC worshipped at the feet of the Trogs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, I don't know for sure, but in terms of like simple chords put together for powerful rock songs, like I would be shocked if they didn't. But Wild Thing, very, very simple, like I said, but fun, and just it can be delivered in so many ways. I mean, like Jimi Hendrix did a cover of Wild Thing. I think at Monterey Pop, and I believe at Woodstock as well. Sam Kinison did a cover of Wild Thing. Like he ended up making that famous in the 80s. But just that's one I want to be able to finally master because, damn it, it is just 3 chords.
Yeah, awesome. I hope that you keep playing so that you can master that song.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll put it on the airwaves here at the Friends Talking Nerdy Network.
Maybe. Wouldn't that be exciting?
Yes, yes. I mean, we've heard your music before, like the theme song for Hump Day that you created.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In original music.
Yes.
That's going back in the archives. But that is our list, folks. If you go to our show description, click on the link that will take you to YouTube to where you can listen to this music on your own. Do you have any closing remarks about these songs in general for our audience at home?
Well, just that I hope that everybody has their own songs that they hope to learn how to sing or perform in some way, because it's really fun to perform for your friends.
Or just even just doing it on your own. It's just being able to have that, small connection with another artist by being able to play something. Ideally with music is best enjoyed with other people. So, to your point, yes, being able to play a song to, play for people, for them to enjoy is great, but just the sheer act of creation is great too. So, so at the end of the day, no matter what the song is, it could be a song that people consider the greatest ever, or it could be a silly pop song. If it gets you picking up an instrument and wanting to play, whether it's guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, drum machine, do it.
Absolutely.
Life is too short not to create something, and you don't have to be a touring paid musician to be good and enjoy what you do.
That's right. And a good friend of mine said once that if you had a guitar, you would never be lonely because you could always entertain yourself and, like you said, be connected to other artists.
I agree with that. So thank you all once again for joining us for another lovely episode of Friends Talking Nerdy. Each Monday we'll have something in this podcast space to entertain your ear holes. Until we meet again, we bid you adieu.
Farewell.
Keep on playing, baby. You get a Cadillac.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy on iTunes, the Google Play Music Store, as well as Spotify. Remember to support Friends Talking Nerdy on Patreon. Goodbye, darling.